So good morning, everybody. I'm glad you came here today. Do you know why? Yes, because it's the best day ever. Of course it is. It's the best day ever. It's my favorite day. I love today. I'm alive. I'm breathing. Everything is good. And I really, really appreciate that all of you decided to come here today to, I want to say, to play. Because everything in life for me is kind of like fun. Even the things that aren't so fun, if I perceive them as fun, then they become a lot more fun. Like if I made life a game of fun, and I wanted to participate in this game and make it more fun, then I would totally play this game like we're doing right here, right now, with you and with me. And so it all comes from perspective, right? It all comes from how we perceive things. And a shift in perspective can completely change what's going on in the world, right? Have you ever had somebody shift your perspective? You were in one space and then somebody said something, it shifts your perspective into another space? Yeah. Well, I want to invite you to think about our theme. Our theme this year is a world that works for everyone. And we're really exploring that this month with the Global Heart Vision. And we're also exploring aspects of the What We Believe by Ernest Holmes. And if you've never read that, you would probably read it either if you became a member here or if you took Foundations or Beyond Limits class. And we talk about the What We Believe. There's one statement in the What We Believe that Ernest Holmes wrote that says that there is this one thing, and the one thing manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. And that one thing I call God, but other people might call it the universe, or they might call it love. They might call it something else, but I call the one thing God. And that one thing is in and through everything, manifest in and through all creation, but not absorbed by creation. There's a story that this reminds me of. There's a holy man, and he had this great revelation. He was very inspired, and he was so excited about life, he couldn't even speak. He couldn't even talk. And his friends were like, "Oh, what is up with this man?" And so he was there one day sitting on a sidewalk, and he had some food. And he started sharing this food with a dog that had walked up next to him. And he's there in ecstasy and bliss. He's eating his burrito, giving the dog a bite of his burrito, eating his burrito, giving the dog a bite of his burrito. And then his friends came over and they were like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Everybody, this is God. God, welcome God." And his friends laughed at him. And he said, "Why do you laugh, God? Why do you laugh?" And they said, "You're being ridiculous." And he said, "No, this is God. And you are God. We are all God." And they laughed and they left. But the dog stayed. And I love that story because it reminds me that in everything, even in a dog, there is God. Even in the laughing friends, there is God. In every situation, in every place, there is God. In the burrito, there is God. I had a breakfast burrito this morning. There's a... I did. It was chile relleno burrito. So I used to go to this Mexican restaurant. It was my favorite Mexican restaurant in San Jose. And I loved going there. And I had this great server. Her name is Gudelia. Called her Gude. And Gude, I think it was in November around my birthday. I went there for my birthday. And Gude whispered to me, she said, "I'm not going to be here much longer." And I was like, "Oh no, what's going on, Gude?" She said, "I'm going to open up my own Mexican restaurant." And I was like, "What?" I'm so excited. So a couple of weeks ago, I found her taqueria, and it is literally less than a mile from my house. And so I went in and I went over to Gude, and she was so adorable. She brought me, "Oh, Abigail, I'm so excited to see you," giving me a hug and everything. And she's like, "Oh, try this." And then she was like, I don't know. So my wife's mother is Mexican. I was going to say she's like a Mexican mother. Like she wanted to feed me everything on the menu. And so she's like, "Oh, here, try this beef stew, and here, try the burrito, and here, this. And so I had like this smorgasbord of things that I was eating. And then she let me not pay for it as well. She just gave it all to me. And I love her because she's younger than me. She's younger than me, and she's starting up her own restaurant. And she's from Mexico. Like, she is the epitome of the American dream. She stepped in from another country. She stepped into this country, and she was able to start her own business. And I want to support her. And so I put together a Yelp page for her. Went in one day. My wife and I went in one day. We put it together, a Yelp page for her. And the other day we went in again because her food is so good. And we rated her and everything. But that's because we want to be people who uplift and support others. We want to be those kind of people. I want her to succeed. If I can be a person who is there to support and uplift those around me, I know that others will do the same for me. It's the law of circulation, but it's also the law of how the world works. Ernest Holmes said, "People must realize that no matter how infinite the infinite may be, it can only become to them what it can become through them." We must look at ourselves with our own eyes. If we could open up, clean house mentally, and get out of everything, out of ourselves, everything that ails us, I don't care what the poverty or the misery is, everything would be allowed because the infinite cannot refuse anything. That was by Ernest Holmes. You see, we live in a physical universe where nothing is lost. The energy that makes up the universe is a constant. It never runs out. Our energy is always fully available. It's always there. The potentiality that is in somebody else to be successful is the same potentiality that is in me. And so when I help somebody else succeed, I'm creating success in my world. When I give love to another, I am creating love in my world. We can only see what the things that we wish to be. And so in order for us to shift and change this world, we need to be those things. We need to step into that place of being. I have this great book that we're going to do a little bit more exploration on next week. So next week, I'm going to have a workshop. It's not going to be people just talking. It's going to be an actual, you come in, we're going to work together on some physical things. So come prepared to work and have fun. Because it's all going to be self-work. It's going to be a workshop on the art of possibility, which is our book of the month. But in the art of possibility, on the fourth principle, I'm going to say, is called being a contribution. Being a contribution in our world. Now, how many of you are focused on being successful? Being successful. Maybe, yes, no, maybe, kind of. No, that's okay. It's interesting, yeah. Well, and I asked that because that has been my focus. And I'm really grateful I read this book. I'm really grateful because it helped me realize how much more important it is to be a contribution versus being successful. So Ben Zander, who's the one who wrote this book, he is a conductor. And he has, he said that wherever he went, he would be with a group of people, and the administrators would know, I want to be successful. I want to be success. I'm so competitive. We're going to be better than all the rest. And he came at it from that point of view, and people could feel that tension, that kind of like, oh, we're going to be the top, be the best of everything. And it rippled through everybody he came in contact with. Now, it's good to have dreams and goals and step into them. But what he realized is he was causing an opposing force up against him because he was saying, I want to be better than all the rest. Instead of changing his focus to being a contribution. Once he said he changed his focus to being a contribution, how can I be a contribution to this orchestra? How can this orchestra be a contribution to the world? Everything shifted for him. Things started getting better for him. People started responding to him differently. So what if instead of being the success in the world, what if we rated ourselves on being a contribution to the world? How do you think you could be a contribution to the world? I'd like some ideas. What do you think you could do to be a contribution? Yeah. Yeah, do the work to the best of my ability, and seeing the best of my ability. How does that contribute to others, right? How is me being the best that I can? How does that help and support others? That's a good one. Thank you, Ania. Anybody else?
Smile at strangers.
Smile at strangers. Yeah, yeah. Christy?
Living compassionately, unconditionally compassionately.
Living unconditionally and compassionately with people. That's a really good one. That's also a very challenging one. But what if you could? What if you took that on this week? Can I live compassionately with everybody? Can I give a smile when I'm not getting a smile? Yeah. That's where we're starting to shift the needle. How can I be a contribution? Somebody else had an idea over here. Yes, Jana. See God in the other person. Exactly. This one thing manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by creation. This one thing is manifesting. You are that one thing manifesting. You are it. And so is everybody else around you. Even that person who is yelling at you on the freeway. Even that person is the one thing. How else? Any other ideas? Yes.
Just live in gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Living in gratitude. Yeah, what does that look like for you?
Really being intentional about every day, kind of writing down what I'm grateful for that day, even when it's been the worst day ever. Or what I perceive as the worst day ever, trying to find one thing to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And then on the days that it's really good, also to write down things, because I think that's where I drop the ball sometimes, is like I'll get on a good streak and then I like get complacent about it, and I have to go back and really write down things again.
Yeah. So writing down different things every day. So writing down what you're grateful for every day, whether it's a very challenging day or a very, very good day, getting in that practice of writing things down. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. And then, what was it?
Honk.
Honk. Honk. Be the goose who's in the flight pattern that is honking at the front goose for encouragement, encouraging the person in the front with support, with love, with that appreciation. Yeah. Yeah.
Direct contribution. If you see somebody who looks like they're a little overwhelmed, directly ask them, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
Listen to their answer.
Exactly. So if you notice that somebody is feeling overwhelmed, and it's a beautiful question, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? This is one of the best questions that anybody could ask. And sometimes people don't know. Like if I've been in deep grief, I'm sure there's people in the room who've been in deep grief before, you don't know. But just somebody asking is all you need. Wow, there's somebody here who's willing to support me. And maybe I just needed you to ask me, and maybe I just need a hug. Or maybe I just need to know that it's okay that I'm a mess right now. Maybe that's all I need. Yeah, so I have a great story about a woman, this beautiful 98-year-old woman. She's very petite, well-coiffed lady, 98-year-old young lady. And she was moving into a new nursing home, and she had her daughter with her. And this 98-year-old woman was blind. And so she had her daughter describe to her new room. And so the daughter described everything, where the furniture was, where the curtains were. And this was before she had even walked into the room, just describing, because the daughter had picked it out. And she described the patterns on the curtains and what the carpet looked like. And the 98-year-old woman, she was just like excited, like she just got a new puppy. She was so excited about it. And her daughter says, well, wait, Mom, you haven't even seen the place yet. You haven't even been in the physical space yet. And she says, that's okay. I decided beforehand I would love it no matter what. So what can you decide beforehand that you're going to love no matter what? What areas of your life that might be challenging right now, can you decide beforehand that you're going to love no matter what? That's the shift in attitude that I was talking about. That's the shift of looking at things over here versus looking at things over here. If you predetermine what something is going to be, it usually shows up like that. Have you noticed that? Not always good. Because what if I predetermine that whenever I meet this person, I'm not going to like them? Or I predetermine that the situation is going to be not so good. Well, how am I going to go into that situation? I'm going to step into that situation really already in that space, in that vibration. I'm going to react to people in the same way. Like if I choose, you know what? I'm going to love this no matter what. And while people are upset and I'm happy, people are going to get that I'm happy. Or if I choose this is going to not be a very good situation and I'm grumpy about it, I go in and I'm grumpy about it, then people react to my grumpiness, right? So it's all predetermined by you. Your choices, your ideas, your attitude is what really determines how your life unfolds. Now, it all unfolds at the same time. What if life was neutral? What if everything that was happening was a neutral event and whatever you did with it was what was created from it? And I know that's hard to sometimes take on, like, wow, I don't know if you remember, like last year, Gina was at home while I was here and somebody hit our car in the street, right? The parked car in the street. Somebody hit Gina's car in the street. And so what do you do in that situation? Well, I have no other choice except to choose to find out what's the best of this situation. How can I make this situation the best that I can be? How can I be happy in this situation? Well, as it turns out, Gina's car had a few dings on it already. It did. And so somebody had hit this car, and for a very low deposit of $100, we were able to get the entire car fixed up. It was like brand new. It was awesome. So now she has almost a brand new car. It's amazing. And I'm so grateful that that happened, because we wouldn't have done that otherwise. But it was really a wonderful thing to have happen. A hit and run in our own driveway. And yet, how many people would take that on? How many people would take on that point of view? I invite you to think about that. How can you step into the world and take on each day as if it were the best day ever? How can you make this day the best day ever? How can you predetermine, plant the seeds in the ground for the day to unfold, for you to have a day that you really love, no matter what the circumstances? No matter what the circumstances. And it's okay, I have to say this, it's okay to feel emotions. It's okay to have the best day ever be one where tears come up. It's okay to have that. Because that's part of the process. That's part of our cleansing. That's part of our revealing the depth of who we really are. It doesn't always have to be like, yay! It can be like, yay. You know? The difference between that. There was a rich man who complained to his friends. He said, you know, people don't like me. They say I'm selfish and stingy, and yet in my last will and testament, I'm donating everything to charity. And his friend said, well, maybe the story of the pig and the cow will help you out in your life. You see, the pig came to the cow and complained, people always talk about your friendliness, cow. I know you are friendly, you do give them milk, but they get much, much more from me. They get ham and bacon and lard, and they cook all of my parts. And yet no one likes me. He says, why is that? And the cow looked at him and thought it over and said, perhaps it's because I give while I'm still alive. So, how are you going to be a contribution to this world? Maybe you will be a contribution after you've left, but what can you start doing today to create a contribution in this world? What can you be in order to be that contribution? There's 2 steps that they recommend in this book. One is declare yourself to be a contribution, and then throw yourself into life as someone who makes a difference, accepting that you may not understand how or why. So I leave you with the story of the ant and the pigeon. You see, the ant went to the stream to get a drink, but got caught in the current and was about to be swept away. And a pigeon saw this ant, and he was on a little branch, and so he broke off a little part of the branch and he threw it in. And the ant was able to grab onto that little stick and get rescued. And he got into the land. And then a hunter appeared with a trap, readying to catch the pigeon. And seeing this, the ant ran and bit the hunter, bit him up, bit up his legs. And immediately, the hunter dropped his trap and the pigeon flew away. You see, you never know how your contribution could help you in the future. But just do it to do it and let life unfold and watch what happens. Because it's a joyful place to be, and we are all each a part of it. So I invite you to think about what you can do to be the contribution in this world. Let's pray.